you start to see patterns and you start to see opportunities. And I think that that's also really important right now. So, for example, at some point during my journey with the Big East, it became apparent that women's basketball was starting to emerge as a sport that people cared about.
Yeah.
Now it was still small, it was still nascent, but it was emerging. It was Title IX. There were programs like UCONN were going undefeated and they were playing against men. And there's a lot of excitement around this. Well, when the Big East sold their properties to what became ESPN Regional, I got to see the contract. I was going to be out of a job and I got to see the contract, and the contract was, this thick. And it was basically saying, here's all the technologies, we're giving us rights to all these things that have not yet been discovered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in these 56 pages, there was not one mention of women. And so I was like, well, it seems like the women's programs have the rights to their own stuff because this, the ESPN Regional isn't interested. And so I called UConn and I said, look, the way I read this contract, you have the rights to your games. And they said, yeah, but we don't know how to do them. So it doesn't really matter. And I said, no, I do. I've been doing that. And so we launched the first ever women's televised package for women's basketball because I just called them and I called friends I knew and, women who were directing football for the NFL and other women who were busy doing documentary work. And I just got them all together and we worked with this public television station in Connecticut and we put this package together and they became the first, women's package with a rights fee.